All right. Hey, it's Mike Belfor, and it's our chat that we like to do, our podcast. And I am so blessed and fortunate to have a very good friend of mine, Pamela Spivey, who quite honestly is, someone that I consider a partner in this industry, but someone that I consider a friend, like a sister to me. She's just amazing and such a blessing. So, Pamela, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, for people that may not know yet, who is Pamela, right? And I know you well at this point, but who are you, right? Who's Pamela Spivey, and uh, how'd you get into real estate?
So when I talk about myself, I like to say I'm passionate.
Mhm,
I believe in first time home buyers, and I
mhm.
believe in just the opportunity to purchase a home.
Yeah,
And so during the time that I've been in real estate, I really focus, heavily on first time home buyers and help them get over that ramp of trying to become a homeowner.
love that. Now, I guess, the question I have is on that. What got
Mhm.
you into the business? Was it wanting to help people, educate people? Did you see an opportunity to bless people that were first-time home buyers, or kind of what was the thought train when you got started?
Yeah, it's just pretty much to educate people. I grew up in an environment where people didn't have their parents weren't homeowners,
Hmm,
so this will be their first round coming into home ownership. So as a realtor, I get to see people who don't know there's have an opportunity to purchase a
yeah,
home. So just knowing the down how we partner together with down payment programs, just letting buyers know all the opportunities that are available to purchase a home,
love that.
sticking out there. Yeah.
Love that. Well, it's funny because we talk about brands and like you'll say
Yeah.
like Pamela Spivey's a brand, and you are your name, right? And that's your name. But like the Belfort
Yeah.
team, Mike Belfort, it's a brand, right? And if you're
Right.
listening, you don't know real estate well, really, you are your brand in this market, is what they say. Like she may work with EXP and Team Fast, sure. However, she is her own individual brand as an agent, which is so remarkable about this industry. And I guess, I noticed in speaking in that your brand seems really education focused as you say that. It's not salesy, which is what I love, right? Because it's a heart to serve, a heart to bless. And it's like servant leadership, which I love. And so I guess the question is, was that your intention from the beginning? Like it sounds like it was, right? Like just to
Yeah.
educate rather than just like, oh, I closed this or I did that, but like let's educate people and help them.
Yeah. I mean, once again, coming into real estate and when starting and finding out that there are opportunities to purchase home
Yeah.
and the type of clientele that I attracted were people who did not know they could purchase a home.
Mm,
So that is where I'm staying, just hard on making sure I give them opportunities
I
that they
love it.
think are not available.
I love it because you'll send me programs too. Like you'll like you'll drop into my DMs. Hey Mike, do you have this? Hey Mike, do you have this? And it's so awesome. It's like, yeah, we got that too. And it's cool to see because you're always looking. You're not
Yes.
happy with what's in the toolbox, it seems. You're always looking to grow, to extend, and to continue to nurture and just kind of have more to be more equipped, I guess is the best way to say it, in order to better serve your clients. So it's like they talk about like, let's say you're practicing law, meaning you understand the law, you pass the bar, but you're practicing your art in the courtroom. If you're a doctor or a physician, you're practicing medicine. Yes, you completed your college credentials, you completed your residency, but you're practicing on a continuous basis and you're always learning,
Yeah.
always growing. And I notice that's something you do, right? So how did you get that skill? Like, because you're always looking for something to better people.
Once again, like I said, I just, for education, I feel like, especially as a realtor and for a lender, it's hard to find lenders
Mm,
that educate themselves and understand down payment programs.
yeah.
So finding you was just a blessing in disguise because it's very important. I have to have a partner. I have to have a lender partner, just as strong as my education on learning and knowing down payment programs. I need that my lender to be just aligned with me to make
Yeah.
sure that we can, assist our clients.
I'm humbled by that remark because I mean it's such a blessing to work with you and I'm so excited for what we've done so far and basically just knowing you has been an incredible blessing in itself because I learned from you. It's iron sharpening iron, so thank you for that. I guess a big question we have is California. As you know, I mean it's something that we see, we'll get into politics of course, right? Because we don't want to,
Yeah.
upset either side or anything or even, those of us are in the middle of everything. But like I guess what's the biggest misconception or thing that you think most folks are mistaking or not really getting about buying a home in California right now? Is it the down payment assistance thing? Is it seeing that they can achieve it? Is it concerns about interest rates, pricing, home prices? Kind of what are you hearing in your sphere of your database?
Definitely affordability, interest rate, affordability.
Yeah,
And this is a great time for first time home buyers because now we can take advantage of, the seller credits for the rate buy down,
yeah.
for closing costs, any type of closing costs for repairs.
Hmm.
So this is an option time, I really believe, for buyers because there's so many options that are available,
Yeah.
getting through
Yeah,
the
I can't
process.
agree more. I mean, I look at it when you send a listing and you're like, we're going to
Yeah.
make an offer, for example, with a client or any other client. I always look
Hmm.
at days on market and I'll say, talk to Pamela, see what else can be done from the seller. Because, yeah,
Yeah.
you could do 100% financing with a grant program, down payment assistance, but perhaps Pamela, her art of negotiation is unparalleled.
Yeah.
So turn around, see if the seller, because it's been listed for X amount of time, if the seller could contribute towards closing costs. So we've seen some clients buy properties with 100% financing and closing costs and very little out of pocket because of that, right?
Right.
Um, so that's pretty huge. I guess, you know, are you seeing fear though with a lot of buyers, or are you seeing clients kind of a little worried, concerned, maybe hesitant about the market right now and buying a home?
Yep. Definitely uncertainty.
Okay.
This is a uncertain market right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even with that being said, even though they're uncertain at the same time, I try to educate them, let them know this is a time for them to get in the door,
Yeah.
based on all the opportunities that are available.
Right. Right. I love it. Now, I guess one thing I noticed too, because I did background on you always do, I like to know the people I'm working with, and you're amazing, as I always said, that's why I'm a fan of yours. But you help seniors and families go through transitions. It's a very different emotional side of real estate. What's that experience been like for you?
For the seniors,
Yeah, and like
yeah,
families and going through transitions, maybe difficult seasons. It's very emotional and you have a heart to just bless others. I noticed that. So,
yeah,
what that, how's that experience been? And yeah, can you maybe unpack some of that for us?
yeah. I mean, it's important. I mean, it's just kind of how I'm wrapped or whatever that I understand people, and I understand people who have issues, and I want to be there for them, and I want to help them through whatever process they're going through.
Yeah,
I don't want them to, keep it inside and hide and struggle
yeah,
and just, now they're to the end of the rope because they didn't want to come and speak about whatever they're going through. And I want to be that voice for them, and I want to be there for them on the front end so they don't have to go through something horrible on the, back end because they weren't didn't feel comfortable explaining what's going on in their life or whatever situation they're in.
yeah. One thing I like to say about an individual too that has that heart is just like you can see it. And I love that John Maxwell quote. We always
Mhm.
quote it, right? And I'm sure you've heard it on Sunday morning and things like that. But it's like you never know. What is it? John Maxwell is you never know how much someone, what's the quote? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember this
Okay.
now, and this is where we're trying to go granted. It's about caring, right?
Yes.
um and it's like one of my favorite quotes too, and I'm gonna look this up real quick and take a second to actually do this, and that's why it's a podcast, it's not pre-formatted, right? People don't
Right.
care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a quote.
Right.
And I'm like, why am I
Okay.
sleeping on that? But
Okay.
like I think about that all the time. But people don't know how much you care until they know about, or people don't care how much you know. What knowledge is great. We love that,
Mm.
right? But it doesn't matter unless if you show the love and care and concern of that's what you want to do. You want to do all you can to be there for that individual, and I think it's huge, and I see that with you, which is so great, right? So
Mhm.
I guess the big thing too is I get this question a lot, and I've been on several podcasts myself, not only this one but on others, and the question that we get, and I want to ask you that a lot's changed since you and I have been in the industry for a little while now. um
Right.
Things are very different today than they were even 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, of course, with COVID, and even prior to that. So I guess, can you give me one thing that you'd say is definitely blatantly changed from years past, maybe, and, maybe 5, 6 years ago or more? And then one thing that seems to never change in this industry.
I would say education. I feel like a first-time homebuyer now is well educated.
Yeah.
Before, they pretty much relied strictly on the realtor to help and the lender, but now they're a little more, educated. So it makes it a little nicer for us as we're, taking them through the path because
Yeah.
they are taking the time to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Things that the same things that haven't changed is buyers and their fear. That same fear, 20 years ago is the same fear now when they're purchasing a home. The same
Yeah.
thing still exists.
I see that too. It's funny. I mean, it's just different. Loan programs are different. Things are more difficult. I remember
Right.
going back, gosh, 24 years ago when I started, I just did FHA VA loans, right? But like now we're seeing, things, we had the subprime loans take place then, or they started to merge then, and then we had the crash. But even then, I think people were a little frightened. I mean, it's a big thing. You're buying the biggest purchase or doing the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your entire life. And they may do it again, but it's the first one, right? So agree with that as well. So I guess, you know, a big question, and here's a thought, and I actually want to ask you this when we were just on the phone the other day. But what do you think is making a buyer or seller successful in this market right now? Like what are you seeing the things that are winning for folks?
I would definitely say for a seller, now when they're putting the home in the market, no longer they can just put on the market and sell it as is. As a seller, you have to be educated. You have to understand that when I put my home in the market, I'm going to do my inspection. I'm going to understand what's going on with the roof. I'm understanding what's going on with the HVAC, electrical, foundation.
Right.
Because put the hat on for the buyer, we're going to come in and we're going to do our inspections and we're going to renegotiate if we have to. So either way, I'm going to make sure as representing the buyer, we're going to make sure that everything, what is the end of life for the roof? What is the end of the life for the HVAC, for whatever? Because these are things that this buyer is going to take on once they purchase the home.
Super interesting.
So,
So you're seeing that now ahead of time
yes.
versus like that's yeah, because we usually walk into it. So you're seeing more inspections done with greater
Oh,
detail.
definitely.
Do your buyers still do their own inspection after the inspection was done by the seller?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. They get their own inspections. Yep. And they're going to be physically at that inspection when the inspections are happening.
Yeah.
And they're going to dig a little deeper. They're not going to just do the initial home termite and roof. If a fireplace needs to be checked, if, the sewer lateral, checking
Yeah.
those pipes, making sure there are so many additional inspections that can be done, not just general inspections. And I highly recommend we do that because once they own the house, that's going to be their problem. And
100%.
so, what is the life or whatever's in that home so that they can make sure they're totally, prepared and taken care of. Yes.
I love it. Yeah, that's huge. And I guess that's really what's helping a buyer become successful, right? I mean, it's just
Yes.
knowing what you're doing. And that's kind of the smart thing that buyers are doing these days is being a little bit more adamant on these things. In years past, even in 2020, when things are going
Mm-hmm.
gangbusters and you see super appreciation, we start to see things really hit. And so as you saw things hit, you'd see multiple offers on a property, but they're just trying to buy. And we're closing in 12 and 14 days on everything, non-contingent, because that's where the market was. But now they're walking into it saying, okay, this, and this need to be completed, which is good, right?
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
no, that's good. I like it because now they're not just buying anything to buy it, right?
Exactly.
And that's a
No.
big point. Um, so I know you built some solid relationships
Mhm.
and you keep in touch with this sphere. Have you done any coaching in the past? I'm curious on how you do what you do because you're so in touch with your past clients. You do like the Buffini thing, but it's a little bit of the Mike Ferry thing, even a little bit Keller. I see some Gary Keller in there. So I guess what's your philosophy? How do you do what you do when it comes to like continuously following up to your clients and blessing them?
When I first came introduced to the market, Brian Buffini was the first coaching system that I was introduced
Yeah,
to this day. I mean, that's pretty much the model that I follow. And that's why I am able to make sure that I stay in contact with my clients. Because once we close a transaction, I mean, we're pretty much forever. They will, we are going to be, pretty much a relationship
love it.
does not end at the close of escrow.
Love it.
And years later, I mean, pretty much my business is based on referrals
I
and,
love that.
repeat business. Yeah.
That's huge because that's like the Buffini thing, the mayor campaign that Joe had, right?
Yeah.
I coached peak producers with a good friend of mine in San Rafael, gosh, like 15 years ago, who became the Coldwell Banker manager for the Turlanda office. And the Buffini system, I implement so much of that. I mean, I don't farm areas. Lender's a little bit different, but I love
Yeah.
the Popeyes. I love the idea of just sending gifts. I don't do pies on Thanksgiving. We toddlers, it's hard to bake that much, right? But I'll do I'll do Christmas gifts. We'll send them out, and I'll just send a gift baskets to our past clients and trying to bless folks and just trying to really be there. And the Buffini system, if you guys are unfamiliar, yes, it's been around forever, but I think the early 90s, even before like, a decade or so before you and I even started doing this, but it's one of the most beautiful programs. And
Yes.
and it's just like even thank you notes, right? Like who does thank you notes?
Right.
And I do texts and emails. I got to up that game because I think there's something to that where people forget about written and the power of the pen.
Right.
And I think
Right.
it's such a huge thing. I'm a fan of that. That's cool.
Like
That's really
that. I
cool.
like that. It's very personal. I like personal.
Yeah, yeah, just being a blessing, right? And just showing that you care and taking the time to write. We can write emails. I could type really fast, but taking the time to write it out takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, it makes a big
Um,
difference.
so on that note, the flip side,
Okay.
that's been always working, right? And Buffini, I love Brian for sure. Now, social media and AI are changing the industry really fast. How are you
Yes.
seeing technology impact real estate today?
Well, for me, luckily, I'm blessed because I have my son, in real estate, and he's really into social media and AI. So I'm
Yeah,
able to kind of follow along. I don't know what I would do without him, but so
yeah,
it's really nice because I've been able to just embrace,
yeah.
as we do our podcast and we do, I do social media. So it's really nice. But so I do both, Brian Buffini, the more personal touch, and then once again, social media out there also. Yeah.
I think the word that we use for, funds in real estate, commingling, right? You kind of put it in a blender and mix it together when you should,
Yeah.
commingling is kind of a not, but it's the best word I can think of. It's a real estate term, but it's like you mix these things together to create a better system that's, yes, kind of with it in today's, society and culture. But also the old school, which allows us to actually reach out with a personal touch. I mean, who doesn't like a
Right.
birthday card, right? Like, and I mean, people do the birthday Facebook messages, and I always kind of leave a jokingly voicemail like, "Hey, yeah, I'm old school, so I'm an old fool, and I'm gonna call and say happy birthday to you." Right? Like, I
Right,
mean, it's
right.
huge to actually make the phone call and wish somebody a happy birthday, a written birthday card too. If you could do that, there's something that goes so much further than the automated, "Hey, I know it's your birthday" email, right? So or Facebook. So I guess, what are areas, and back to kind of we're talking about the market right now, what are areas or price points that you're seeing a lot of opportunity in right now in your market?
It's interesting because, when I partner, so I'm all over from the lower end to the higher end.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
also, honestly, this is the first time where I feel it's an even board as far
yeah,
as low end, high end, everything right now. It's everything's even as far as opportunities.
yeah.
That's what I'm just saying, and that's all the South Bay, East Bay, Central Valley, Sacramento.
Mm,
This is the first time. It's very interesting how before you could tell county to county, zip code to zip code, but now
yeah,
straight across the board there are opportunities.
it's huge. I love it. So I guess that would bring us to kind of one thing I'd like to ask you, as we get closer to wrapping up here, is if somebody's listening to this right now and feels nervous about buying or selling, what would you want them to hear? What would you say to them?
I would just say that, being in the market for so long, over 20 years, I would say, step in and take this opportunity.
Yeah,
Because you're going to look back 5, 10, 15 years ago, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done that. And I have a funny story. My son, he purchased in 2018.
okay.
He was a young kid at the time, right?
Yeah,
And he is so thankful that he did it because everyone's saying, "Oh my gosh, you own a multi a duplex, and you're how did you do that? When did you do that?" Because I'm the mom, so I was able to to where other people, I just have to try to educate them, but I really can't have them go over but I don't have any regrets. And I just hope people make a decision now because they're going to be looking back and they're going like, man, I wish I would have done it. You don't want to go say, I wish I would have done it. You want to make that decision and know that you're planning for your future when you're making that decision today.
that's the biggest thing is budgeting, going over
Yeah.
financial benefits of homeownership, appreciation, you're
Yes.
developing wealth. That first
Yeah.
property you buy is a multi-unit. I wish I did that. I wish I had a mom like you that would help me with that. Because my first place was a townhouse, right? And
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
have it. It's free and clear. It's a rental. It was the
Mhm.
first rental properties I have, and I have a few now, but I wish I bought more doors. You buy
Yes.
duplex, a triplex, or fourplex, just a smarter decision all the way around. And you can do that with 5% down now, right?
Yeah.
So there's opportunity for that. So it's awesome. And I guess one thing I want to ask, and I'll
Okay.
definitely leave your information below because you're amazing. And again, I'm a huge fan,
Thank you.
but where can people connect with you? What's the best way for someone to connect with Pamela Spivey?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
At Pamela the Realtor on Instagram. That's pretty much where everybody hangs out up. I'm also on Facebook
Yeah.
and Pamela Spivey. Yeah. So I'm on the internet.
Okay.
So if you just Google me, you'll find me all over.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I found a lot of great information about you, and I
Yeah.
learned a lot too. And when I first started working with you, I'm like, oh man, you're amazing. So I was excited for the partnership itself, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to leave all of your information below. And if
Okay.
anybody has any questions about the market, wants to learn more about what's going on in Pembas markets,
Yeah.
please, please, please visit those links. She's amazing, super
Thank you.
personable. I learned something every time I talk to her. So I just want to thank you again for the time and
Thank
incredibly
you.
blessed by you.